Greetings to you from Corporate Care Partners. This is Chaplain Daryl Outing, and just want to give you a brief word of inspiration from the Chaplain's Corner. Want to start off by saying part of this will be sort of philosophical and framed around some concepts that everyone should be familiar with. So even if you don't have a biblical worldview, this piece of inspiration should be inspiring. At least that's my hope and desire. And I had the privilege of speaking with, or actually being the spokesperson for my graduating class. And I chose to speak on a topic about Socrates. And so one day there was a man that approached Socrates. He was very excited to meet Socrates, the great and mighty philosopher of his time, probably the most brilliant mind of his time. And so this man who was, enamored with this Greek philosopher, finally got a chance to meet him. He runs up to Socrates and he says, "O great and wise and noble Socrates, give me knowledge and wisdom." Socrates was a robust man. Most sources say he's about 6'2". He was probably 200 plus pounds. So he was a robust man. Socrates, being a deep thinker, saw this man as a buffoon. And so he said, "Give you wisdom and knowledge." Socrates is probably thinking to himself, who do you think I am? And you obviously don't understand how this stuff works. So Socrates grabs the man with both hands and leads him to the nearby beach, water source. Socrates commenced to take the man into the water, and he forces the man's head down the water. And he holds him down for 30 seconds. He lets the man up, and Socrates asks the man a question: "What is it that you want?" And the man replied, "O great and wise and noble Socrates, give me wisdom and knowledge." Socrates commenced to push the man's head down in the water again. And he holds the man's head down for another 30 seconds. He allows the man to come up and gain some air. And when he gains his composure, Socrates asks him the same question: "What is it that you want?" The man says, "Oh, great and wise and noble Socrates, give me." And then Socrates did not let him finish the sentence. He pushes the man's head down in the water and holds him down for 40 seconds this time. And so the man is struggling to come up for air. Socrates is insisting on holding him down until he really sort of gets the point. Eventually, Socrates lets the man come up. The man gains his air, and when he finally gets enough breath to speak, Socrates asks him, "What is it that you want?" And the man replies to Socrates out of desperation, "I need air, I need air, I need air." And Socrates uses that as his point of emphasis, of driving home the principle of, well, when you want wisdom and knowledge as bad as you want air right now, you'll have wisdom and knowledge. And the point of this whole piece of inspiration to you is, whatever your goals in life are, how bad do you want them? If you want to be a better husband, you want to be a better wife, how bad do you want to be a better husband and a better wife? Because whatever it is that you are focused on, you're going to take the time to invest in learning about certain techniques and principles that it takes to be successful in that area. You're going to put in the time and energy to gain the skill sets, to gain the mental aptitude and acuity to be able to execute in that area. And so those of you who are listening to this piece on the Chaplain's Corner, my question to you is, how bad do you want it? And so leave this with you. Nothing is going to fall in your lap. Anything that's going to really stick to your ribs is going to be something that you invest your personal time and energy in. And Socrates knew this, and So he wanted to teach this man a lesson that nothing is going to be given to you. There's nothing that I can freely give you. You have to put in the time and the effort to gain whatever it is that you're pursuing. And so pursue your goals and dreams. Know that what's going to fuel that is how bad do you want it. Now, this is a time if you don't have a biblical worldview, you can go ahead and cut the video off. But if you do have a biblical worldview, and even if you don't, go ahead and listen to the next piece because it's tied into the story with Socrates. But this is based on Psalms 42 and 1. And Psalms 42 and 1 says, "As the deer panteth for the water brooks, so doeth my soul," David says, "panteth after you, O God." Well, that's tied into the same principle. How bad do you want it? So, we all say that we love God. We all say that, we're disciples of Jesus Christ. But really, that's going to be determined how bad is it that you want to be effective witnesses for Christ? How bad do you want to really have a life that reflects devotion and intimacy with God? Because that kind of lifestyle, that kind of life is not just going to fall in your lap. It has to be cultivated. And so, as the deer panteth for the water brooks, so doeth my soul panteth after thee. What is that saying to you and me? Well, water is a priority to the deer. It's really paramount that they get water because much of their life consists of grazing and running from predators and things of that nature. And of course, they have to deal with the elements. So the hotter it gets, the more they're depleted in terms of moisture, just like we are. And so water becomes extremely, extremely important to their survivability. Water is so important to a deer that if they don't have water, enough water, they will forego a meal to get to water. So water is primary. Water is actually the top priority in their life. So when David says, "As the deer panteth for the water, so doeth my soul panteth after thee," what David is saying is that, God, you're my primary priority. You are my priority. You're my top priority. And so you're first. When I wake up, I'm thinking about you. When I wake up, I'm applying principles, spiritual principles to my life to help me engage with you according to your word. That's what it means to pant after God like a deer panteth after the water. That means God is your top priority. Now, let's sort of break that down and unpack that, what that means on a practical level and pragmatic level. Well, the deer has a variety of senses. They can smell far better than we can. They can see 5 times better than human beings can see. And their sensitivity to movement is far, far, far ultra sensitive than ours is. So for example, hunters that are hunting deer, the slightest movement in the grass or bush, the deer can feel and hear even if he's not near you. And before you know it, if you make the slightest movement, that deer's gone. Because that little wave of movement in the grass or bush, he was able to pick up. You weren't. The other sense that the deer has is the deer cannot smell water, but it can smell algae. It can't smell water, but it can smell the things that reside near water, such as algae, certain fungi, certain grasses, certain animals. So like, for example, an animal that lives in the water, such as a beaver or otter, they can smell their scent, and that scent lets them know that water is nearby. So even though they can't smell water, they can smell the things that are associated with water. And so what happens is when God becomes a top priority in our life, there are other senses developed in us for us to help sense the things that are associated with God, such as other people who have a relationship with God. And so these senses are developed, and they become acute in you as you develop a lifestyle of intimacy with God. So David is saying, "As the deer panteth after the water, so doeth my soul longeth after thee." That means, God, you're my top priority. And I long for you just as the deer long to be refreshed by the water brooks. I long to be refreshed by your presence. I long to be filled with your wisdom and your virtues. And so it's a matter of pursuit. It's not where he's sitting on the couch and it's just going to fall in his lap. No, this is about pursuing. And just as Socrates said, when you want wisdom and knowledge as bad as you need air at this point, you'll have wisdom and knowledge. And my encouragement to you is that if you pursue God the way a deer pursues water, then you're going to have what it is that you want. Blessings to you all. I'll catch you next time on the Chaplain's Corner.